Hi, I'm Gareth Green, and in this video we're going to be thinking about one way in which you can make your key change, your modulation, more exciting. Lots of composers feel a little bit trapped. It's kind of like, well, I'm quite good at starting in a key and modulating to something that's obvious, like the dominant key or the relative key or maybe the subdominant key. And I always do those kind of modulations, and I just wish I could do something a bit more exciting, maybe a little bit less predictable sometimes, and maybe just something to highlight a particular corner of my score. So I'm going to talk about how you can use the Neapolitan chord to bring about a more exciting key change. Okay, let's be sure first of all we know what a Neapolitan chord is. So a Neapolitan chord is a major chord built on the flattened second degree of the scale. Okay, if I'm in C major, okay, there's my tonic C. Now, the second degree of the scale is D. Now, if I lower that D, flatten it by a semitone, a half step, I get D flat. Then I build a major chord, D flat, F, A flat. Well, that's my Neapolitan chord. Generally speaking, when we use it in music, we use it in first inversion. So we put the F at the bottom of it. You don't have to do that. You can use it in root position if you wish, but generally speaking, it works best when it's in first inversion. Where did this chord come from? Well, it's been around for hundreds of years. From the Baroque period, it was kind of used in the opera as a way of being a little bit more dramatic about things. You know, you might have had a recitative in an opera that went, you know, I was walking down the road, minding my own business, enjoying the sun shining, and suddenly I was shot. Well, if you're going to be shot, you need something dramatic. You can't just put a chord of G major down, can you, and pretend it wasn't significant. So you need a significant chord that kind of shocks the audience. Oh my goodness, what just happened? Moment of drama. So that was kind of the original purpose of this Neapolitan. As time and a half went by, it was just used to kind of colour music quite effectively. You could be going along in C major quite happily, and then you might say, I'll have a Neapolitan chord, and then go to a dominant chord and back to a tonic or Neapolitan chord, and go to the tonic in second inversion, and then the dominant chord, and then maybe the tonic chord from there. So it kind of just gives you a bit of colour in your key. But what I'm saying now is, how about we try to use this Neapolitan chord as a means of modulating to a key that's much further away than our dominance, subdominance, relative keys? Because this, which is the Neapolitan chord in the key of C major, is also a tonic chord in D flat major, isn't it? So it's perfectly possible that I could be in C major, I could use the Neapolitan in C major and carry on in C, or I could use the Neapolitan of C major and then carry on in D flat major. Oh, what have I done there? I've gone from no flats to a key with 5 flats. So you see, it's quite a dramatic way of modulating. And the audience is left thinking, oh, how did we do that? So it's quite useful. It has a purpose beyond its intended purpose, if you like. Just as an example, well, if you're in D flat major, for example, well, you could use it to get to D major. Why have I put this example in? Here's a D flat major chord. Here's a chord that's built on the flattened supertonic in first inversion. It's just that in D flat major, you're thinking, is that right that it's a D major chord? Because if you're building a chord on flat 2 in D flat major, flat 2 is E flat, G flat, B flat. So if I flatten that, it should be E double flat, G flat, B double flat. Well, you could do that. But enharmonically, it's D, F sharp, A. So for the purposes of modulating, you could just respell that chord in a way that makes sense. So it looks like the tonic chord of D major, and then you could do the same trick that we've just described. So it's just to show you that in another key, you might have to write your Neapolitan chord enharmonically. In other words, you write notes that sound exactly the same as they ought to be, but you spell them differently. So instead of calling something E double flat, you just call it D, because that might be an easier way of going to a key like D major, but it's still using the Neapolitan. Okay, having explained that, here's a little piece of music I've written just to show what I'm talking about. So this piece of music starts off in C major. It looks as if it's minding its own business quite happily in C major. When we get here, I introduce a Neapolitan in C major, and then I say, well, that's the tonic chord of D flat major, and then I write the rest of this little piece in the key of D flat major. So we're going from a key with no flats to a key with 5 flats. Does that really work in practice? I'll let you be the judge. What do you think? What's really neat about it is that it doesn't particularly make the modulation stick out. You're not thinking, oh my goodness, I've suddenly jolted from a key with no flats to a key with 5 flats. That's often what happens when you try to modulate to a more extreme key. Actually, it's quite smooth, isn't it? That's simply because you are using a pivot chord in a conventional sense, but you're saying, here's a Neapolitan in C major, which I can also call the tonic chord of D flat major, and then I carry on. So there we are. We've got a kind of gentle piece of music. I'm not trying to do anything too agitated with it, yet we get that lovely colour of the move from C major to D flat major. So it's just another window of opportunity for any composers out there who want to get a little bit more experimental with their modulation while they're still writing in a tonal style. So I hope that's a really helpful little tool to add to your possibilities. Well, if you've enjoyed this video, let me invite you to have a look around the Music Matters website. It's like an Aladdin's cave full of lots of exciting things. www.mmcourses.co.uk. You can look at everything on the homepage and see where it leads you. One of the things you might want to click on is Maestros. What's Maestros? It's our kind of Music Matters international community. 3 levels of maestros, 1, 2, 3. They're not progressive in terms of ability. You don't have to be a certain standard to join any of those groups. They're just levels of engagement. So you can join level 1, that helps support the channel. It doesn't cost you very much a month at all, and you get benefits, emojis and early access to videos and things. If you want to move up to level 2 or to level 3, you automatically have the lower levels as well, so that all comes as a package. One of the advantages of level 2 and level 3 is you at level 3 get some discounts on our courses. At level 2 you get a live stream every month. At level 3 you get 2 live streams every month, so that's fantastic stuff. But how about this? We've had this going now for quite a few years. So if you sign up as a level 2 or a level 3 maestro, not only can you join any forthcoming live streams, you can also access all of the previous live streams. Now, there is a huge wealth of material in these previous live streams. And if you sign up to be a maestro, you're not signing up for life. You can join it, you can leave it at any time you want to. But if you're looking for a fantastic body of material, all the level 2 material going back for years, we're taking a topic each month about a composer, about analysis, about compositional techniques, all sorts of things. You can access this entire library of material. If you're a level 3 member, you can access all of the compositions, the performances, arrangements and things that have been submitted over many years. And there's so much to learn just by watching those and seeing what the feedback is on the items that are submitted. So it's not only a question of, oh, I can now attend a live stream. Actually, I can attend a whole pile of live streams one of them live each month, but I can see all of the recordings of the previous one. So that might be of particular interest to some viewers. Anyway, have a look at that. Have a look at the other things on the website, www.mmcourses.co.uk.